Today we're going to look at how to mill grain and why you should. And I'm talking gluten and gluten-free grains. This is so important. I really want you to learn this. I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist, and I'm on mission to help you be confident in the kitchen. That means you'll be confident with your health and your future. And most importantly, to understand how much God loves you. All right, let's get started. Milling your own grain. This is the mill that I started with back in early 2000. Yes, and it's an amazing machine, does incredibly well. So today we're going to look at the Nutri Mill Classic and compare it also with your Vitamix. So some of you have Vitamix and you don't want to spend the money on a mill. I totally get that. You can do this in a Vitamix. Okay, so today we're going to compare these two machines for milling grain. Also, I want us to look at the different grains, why we should mill them, and which ones are good for gluten-free and which ones have gluten. Okay, so when I teach in my books about the Healthy Treasures Cookbook, I have the Treasures of Healthy Living Nutrition Manual, and then I also have the Treasures of Healthy Living Bible Study. A lot of treasures going on. They all are going to talk about whole grains. Whole grains are so vital for your health. Without whole grains, you miss a lot of the good fiber and resistant starch that your body needs to thrive. But I get it. Some of you are like, Annette, whole grains, they make me upset. They make me sick. I get it. And that's because of what man has done to the grain. Not to the grain specifically, but how he has processed the grain into a white bread. And we totally cover all of that in the Bible study. And so we need to recognize it's not the grain that's causing you harm, it's the processing, which is the answer all of the time. And so let's look at this. The grains that contain gluten, by nature, God designed it that way, is going to be your wheat varieties. So here, you may not be able to tell the difference from where you are, but I've got the different wheats. We use these on display at our conferences and seminars. We've got the hard white, we've got the hard red, we got the soft white. I have some spelt here. Spelt is just longer. It just has a delicious flavor. And we've got some kamut here, and then also some rye. So these are all grains that are going to have a gluten content, and God designed them to make bread. That's what Scripture is talking about, is making bread with the wheat. Whether it's a kamut, a spelt, all the different varieties, and there are hundreds of varieties. Remember, man is the one who limits what we're allowed to eat, and God didn't limit us at all. And so he gave us all these different varieties, and so they are all very beneficial for your health. To understand the beneficial ingredients, in all of my books, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to find a chart. And this is a chart that lists all of the nutritional benefits from eating whole grains, even wheat. I mean, you should just, when you see this, you're going to be amazed. So one of them is your zinc. Zinc, you lose 98% of your zinc is lost when you buy a processed bread. But when you mill it yourself, you get all of it. It's amazing. And zinc is so important for your immune system, all of that. So let's just look at this. I've got some grains here. This is the Nutri Mill. Let me just go ahead and mill just a little bit of the hard white wheat. Got my lids on here really good. So we're just going to mill some of this. And then I'm going to mill some of it in our Vitamix as well. And so by milling it in the Nutri Mill, it's called the Classic because it is a classic. There's a lot of other mills out there, and you may have your own favorite, which is great. As long as you're milling your own grain, I don't care what mill you use. This is a classic. It's been used for years. Now, when I first got it, they said, oh, it's whisper quiet. It's not. So Let me make sure it's plugged in. It is, so I'm just going to, this is the bowl. You always want to make sure this bowl is tucked in tight, or you will be wearing the flour because it will blow everywhere. And all of us who own a Nutri Mill have done that. So they did a really good job by telling us little marks on the bottom here to tell us if it's in, if the bowl's in all the way. That means it's totally in contact with the machine, and so all of the flour is going to go straight into the bowl. This is a hopper extension. You can kind of see this rim right here. You just put this on top of the Nutri Mill, and you can actually add a lot more grain. What I love about this mill is that I can put a lot of grain in this hopper and go and do my work and come back when it's all done. It holds a lot. And so you're just going to turn that on. What's really important about this machine is you can start it, stop it anytime you want in the milling process. That's okay. Other machines, you have to start it before adding the grain. And so that's one other reason why I really like it. It also has a great big green sticker on the top right here. It says, do not add an oily seed to this. Do not put flaxseed in here, sunflower seeds. The oil is going to totally destroy your machine, and that's just going to be the end of it. So several people have tried, and I'm telling you the truth. So this is the Nutri Mill Classic. When you're done, you just open this bowl, pull that out, slide off the lid, and then I'll just kind of show you here. We have some beautiful flour. And I'll hold that up for you. Let me put this bowl back. Now, mind you, even if you're gluten-free, you still need to mill your own grains and make your own whole grain food. Don't be buying processed food in the store. That's where we always get into trouble. There we go, snap that back in. And so here we have our flour. Oh, that is so soft. Now some people like other mills better because they don't want the flour to get hot. There is no heat in this flour whatsoever. And it actually takes degrees of 130 degrees or more to destroy the nutritional value. So that flour, it has no warmth to it at all. So this is a fantastic machine. Okay, so then we have the Vitamix. And after I mill this, we'll talk about all these grains that I have sitting in front of me. Oh, there we go. Now with the Vitamix, you're pretty much going by your own sight and your own the sounds that are coming from it to know if it's done or not. This is not my favorite way, but if you own a Vitamix, then go ahead and use it and get used to baking and cooking with your own whole grains. And so the other thing you need to recognize with the Vitamix is that you need to have the dry blade canister. The Vitamix comes with two different canisters. One is a wet blade and one is a dry blade, and they're totally different. So the dry blade has different blades at the bottom that are made and designed to crack grain. Now I really probably needed to mill this a little bit more. It's just a little bit more coarse than my other flour, and you can kind of tell just by looking at it that it's a little bit more coarse. See how much darker it is? Yeah, but it's an option, and if you own it, use it. Now let's talk about the other grains that I have here. So I've told you this side over here, these are my gluten grains. This side, which is now covered with flour, is my non-gluten grains. So we've got quinoa, we've got oats. Now the oats are actually the oat groats, the grains, before they've even been flaked. And that way, once again, I'm in charge of the food, I'll do the processing, and I gain all the nutritional value, and man's not taking anything away. We have corn. In one of our classes, we did a taste test. I made some of that boxed grits, corn grits, and then I made some of the Bob's Red Mill corn grits, and then I made some freshly milled corn grits. And then I didn't tell anyone which batch was which. Everyone loved the freshly milled corn grits. They tasted so fresh. The box tasted like cardboard. And you may say, well, Annette, I've been eating grits out of the box for years. You don't even know what real grits taste like. Or if you've been eating them at a restaurant, that's just out of a box. Try it yourself. You will be totally shocked. Okay, so that's another whole grain that can be milled in these machines. We have some buckwheat, which is not a wheat, it's actually in a different family. Makes fantastic pancakes. We've got millet, we've got amaranth, And then here we have rice. You can make your own rice flour. Yeah, you could add in the wild rice, the purple rice, the red rice, the brown rice, all of those, black rice, and make your own rice flour. So, oh, and I also have, you might have seen these over here, my beans. All of your legumes, all of your legumes and beans, all of those can be milled in your machines because they are a dry grain, and you will get amazing benefits out of it. So I hope I've encouraged you to start milling your own grain. Stop buying processed bread products. I don't care if you're gluten-free or not, stop buying them because they're full of junk. And you need to control your health, which means you will control your future. Oh, that was a lot to tell you. I hope you kept up with me. And hey, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up for liking this video and share this with your friends. We have so many people to share this message with. It is so helpful. And when you subscribe down below, hit the bell so you get notified, and then like it. But be sure and share this with your friends. But hey, if this isn't enough to whet your appetite, go to thebiblicalnutritionist.com. We've got blogs and recipes all waiting for you to try. Thanks for watching. Remember, I'm Annette Reeder, the Biblical Nutritionist.